Mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says the road to the Divine, always long, often dry in appearance, but always abundant in its results. You must realize that these moods are attacks which should be rejected at once, for they repose on nothing but suggestions of self distrust and incapacity which have no meaning, since it is by the grace of the Divine and the aid of a force greater than your own, not by personal capacity and worth, that you can attain the goal of sadhana. With always our love and blessings, says our Divine Mother. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri. A vision meets her of supernal powers that draw her as if mighty kinsmen lost, approaching with strange, great, luminous gaze. Then is she moved to all that she is not, and stretches arms to what was never hers. Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, taken from the collective works of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, book Essays Divine and Human, topic Integral Yoga, subtopic The Yoga of Transformation. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, this is a yoga of transformation of the being, not solely a yoga of the attainment of the inner self or the divine, though that attainment is its basis, without which no transformation is possible. In this transformation, there are four elements: the psychic opening, the transit through the occult, the spiritual release, the supramental perfection. If any of the four is unachieved, the yoga remains incomplete. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, I mean by the psychic, the inmost soul being and the soul nature. This is not the sense in which the word is used in ordinary parlance, or rather, if it is so used, it is with great vagueness and much mispresent of the future nature of this soul, and it is given a wide extension of meaning which carries it far beyond that province. All phenomena of an abnormal or supernormal psychological or an occult character are dubbed psychic. If a man has a double personality, changing from one to another, if an apparition of a dying man, something of his mere vital sheath, or else a thought form of him, appears and stalks through the room of his wandering friend, if a poltergeist kicks up an unseemingly row in a house, all that is classed under psychic phenomena and regarded as a fit object for psychic research, though these things have nothing whatever to do with the psyche. Again, much in integral yoga itself that is merely occult, phenomena of the unseen vital or mental or subtle physical planes, visions, symbols, all that mixed, often perturbed, often shadowy, often illusory range of experiences which belong to this intervening country between the soul and its superficial instruments, or rather to its outermost fringes, all the chaos of the intermediate zone is summed up as psychic and considered as an inferior and dubious province of spiritual discovery. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, again, there is a constant confusion between the mentalized desire soul, which is a creation of the vital urge in man, of his life force seeking for its fulfillment, and the true soul, which is a spark of the divine fire, a portion of the divine. Because the soul, the psychic being, uses the mind and the vital, as well as the body, as instruments for growth and experience, it is itself looked at as if it were some amalgam or some subtle substratum of mind and life. But in integral yoga, if we accept all this chaotic mass as soul stuff or soul movement, we shall enter into a confusion without an issue. All that belongs only to the coverings of the soul itself is an inner divinity greater than mind, life, or body. It is something that once it is released from obscuration by its instruments, at once creates a direct contact with the divine, with the self and spirit. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, in the integral yoga, there is a progressive discovery of our spiritual status. This progression is accompanied by a dynamic new creation of our nature. A triple transformation is its process and the revelation of its entire significance. A first discovery is the unveiling of the soul out of its disguising mask, concealing curtain, blockading wall of mind, life, and body. The psychic entity, the divine element in our nature, which gives it its permanence and immortality, becomes the open ruler of our instruments and transmutes them into conscious, spiritualized agents so that they are no longer a changing formulation of the nature of the ignorance. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo continues to say, yoga is not a discovery of our concealed spiritual status, but a dynamic spiritual self creation. A triple transformation is the heart of its process and the revelation of its entire significance. Its first step is the unveiling of the soul, for there is a secret psychic being, a divine element in our depths that is concealed even more than garb by the mind, life, and body. To bring it out of its seclusion, where it lives like a spiritual king without apparent power, served and replaced by its ministries, so that it may take over the whole active government of the nature, is the first great unfolding, the initial potent self discovery of the yoga. Mind thinker is the prime minister in us who governs the king, but mind too is dominated and led by the vital powers, the strong and violent of the realm, who force it to serve their purpose, and these too can only act with the means given them by the body and physical nature. The inert, hardly conscious subject existence, whose passive assent and docile instrumentation is yet indispensable to its rulers. This is our present constitution, and it amounts to no more than a sort of organized confusion, a feudal order that is an ignorant half anarchy and cannot make the most of the possibilities and resources, even of the limited track of nature which we inhabit, much less reveal to us and exploit our spiritual empire. To reinstate the king's soul is the first step in a needed revolution. The soul, directing the mind, will exercise through it its sovereign power over the powers of life and subject to them in their turn an enlightened and psychically consenting body. But this is not all, for soul discovery is not complete without a psychic new creation of the mental, vital, and physical instrumentation of nature. The mind will be recast by the soul's intuition of truth, the vital being by its perception of power and good, the body and the whole nature by its command for light, harmony, and beauty. Our nature, says our Lord, will become that of a true psychic entity, not a brute creation, unified by a precarious life and illumined by the candlelight of a struggling intelligence. I mean by the integral yoga a many sided way or means of self liberation and self perfection, a radical change of our entire being by which we grow out of its present mental, vital, and physical ignorance into a large and integral spiritual and divine consciousness. As a result of this liberation, this change of transformation, there is a union in the Spirit with our divine origin in its integral reality, an ascent of all our being and nature into the divine existence, the divine consciousness, the divine bliss or ananda, and a descent of the divine infinite wideness, light, knowledge, force, joy, ananda into our entire nature. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says our integral yoga is a yoga of transformation, but a transformation of the whole consciousness and the whole nature from the top to bottom, from its hidden inward parts to its most tangible external moments. It is neither an ethical change nor a religious conversion, neither sainthood nor ascetic control, neither a sublimation nor a suppression of the life and vital movements that we envisage, nor is it either a glorification or a coerced control or rejection of the physical existence. What is envisaged is a change from a lesser to a greater, from a lower to a higher, from a surface into a deeper consciousness, indeed to the largest, highest, deepest possible, and a total change and revolution of the whole being in its stuff and mass, and every detail into that unrealized diviner nature of existence. It means a bringing forward of what is now hidden and subliminal, a growing conscious in what is now superconscient to us, an illumination of the subconscient and subphysical. It implies a substitution of the control of the nature by the soul for its present control by the mind, a transference of the instrumentation of the nature from the outer to the now more than half-wheeled inner mind, from the outer to the inner vital or life self, from the outer to an inner subtler, vaster physical consciousness. By this transference, a direct and conscious instead of an indirect and unconscious or half conscious contact with the secret cosmic forces that move us, a breaking out from the narrow, limited individual into a wide cosmic consciousness, an ascension from mental to spiritual nature, a still farther ascension from the spirit in mind or overspreading mind to the supramental spirit, and a descent of that into the embodied being. All that has not only to be achieved but organized before the transformation is complete. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says the ascent to supermanhood will be a radical change of consciousness, force, and bliss power, a potent building of all that is necessary to manifest the new Godhead in mind, life, and body. There will be at once an inner revelation and an outer transformation. Something will be born that was not here or was latent and hidden in its invisible radiances, and at the same time, there will be a metamorphosis and reversal in our existing structure. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, a creation by a consensus of superior and neither powers is the condition demanded by the Spirit for its decisive works, and this double action, this meeting, consensus, unification of the superconscient and subconscient gods in a growing consciousness is the key to the critical revolutions of nature. The creation of conscious supermind on the terrestrial plane will be done, therefore, not only from above by the Spirit, but from below by the earth power. The Sun of supramental truth will descend into the body, but also it will awake another secret sun of supramental truth that was asleep in the foundations and very principle of matter. The boon that we have asked from the Supreme is the greatest that the earth can ask for the highest, the change that is most difficult to realize the most exacting in its conditions. It is nothing lesser than the descent of the supreme truth and power into matter, the supramental established in the material plane and consciousness and the material world, and an integral transformation down to the very principle of matter. Only a supreme grace can effect this miracle. The supreme power has descended into the most material consciousness, but it stood there behind the density of the physical veil, demanding before manifestation, before its great open workings can begin, that the conditions of the supreme grace shall be there, real and effective. And the first condition is that the truth shall be accepted within you entirely and without reserve before it can be manifested into the material being and nature. A total surrender, an exclusive self opening to the divine influence, a constant and integral choice of the truth and rejection of the falsehood. These are the only conditions made. But these must be fulfilled entirely without reserve, without any evasion or pretense, simply and sincerely down to the most physical consciousness and its workings. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, victory in this effort depends upon the sincerity within you, the purity of your aspiration, the burning core of your faith, the absoluteness of your will, and surrender. Two things are needed if thou wouldst follow the steep and difficult way of integral yoga: the need and will within thee, and the call of the Spirit. The need, says our Lord, is the need of the soul, awakened or awaking or striving to come to the surface. For all other may be transitory or false, but the soul's need is lasting and true. Thy soul's need of divine light and the Spirit's perfection can alone bear thee across the darkness of the many nights through which thou must pass, beyond the open or hidden pitfalls of the road, past the dangers of the precipice and the morass, through the battle with giant forces and the clutching of hands that mislead, and the delusions of the night and the twilight, through false light and elusive glamour, triumphant over the blows and ordeals and nets and temptations of the gods, and on and up to the immeasurable summits, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo.